could Parker Washington, if they don't sign a slot wide receiver, be the next Chris Godwin for Liam Cohen? I don't know, but I like Parker Washington. During the Dynasty offseason, we all deal with this. We look at our roster and we say, man, do I keep this player or do I cut them? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go through every position. We'll talk about almost 70 names, and we'll talk about whether you should hold or cut these players. And I'm mainly bringing this video from a 12-team Superflex perspective. And by the way, I'm not going to add the obvious names in today's video. I'm not going to tell you to keep Jaden Daniels or Malik Neighbors or Brock Bowers, okay? So in case that needs to be clarified, a lot of the obvious names won't be on today's video. Let's start off with the running back position. So the 2024 class, for the most part, was a huge disappointment at the running back spot, really outside of Bucky Irving. There's no one really to hang your hat on at this point. But here are some names that I do think you should be keeping on your rosters. Jonathan Brooks. Yes, about worst case scenario, right? I mean, drafted in the second round. We all loved his film coming out of Texas. And then we were told he should be ready by week 1. Well, he should be ready week 4. Well, he comes back, what was it, like week 10 or something? And then he tears his ACL again in the same knee? I mean, think about it. He's probably out the entirety of the 2025 season. And then in his 3rd year of his contract, his 4-year contract, he's going to have a chance to contribute. It really is worst case scenario for Jonathan Brooks, but with how talented he is, with the draft capital they spent on him, it makes no sense to drop him. Trey Benson, who, honestly, if you go look on a per touch basis, if you go look at his opportunities in games, he was very good. He was very impressive, efficient, explosive. But the issue is they re-signed James Conner. I still want to keep Trey Benson, obviously, great player, just in the wings waiting to get his shot. Blake Corum. It is not uncommon for a Sean McVay running back to need an entire year before they really get involved and have that inbuilt trust with Sean McVay in his offense. I would not be surprised if Blake Corum has a bigger role in his second season. Jalen Wright, same thing. We're going to see Jalen Wright, if Raheem Mostert moves on, develop an even bigger role in Miami. He's the perfect fit with that offense, with the speed that he has. I definitely want to keep him. Ray Davis, we love some sweet baby Rays. Great rookie season from him. The issue is that it's just, unless James Cook goes down, there's not really much value there. But from a handcuff perspective, we definitely want to be keeping some Ray Davis. Isaac Correndo was an incredible spot start for the 49ers. In fact, on a per touch basis, if you look at running backs who had at least 80 attempts, he was one of the most efficient, dynamic, explosive running backs in the league this year. Braylon Allen, who is an interesting case really, because with Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis came in when they lost Breece Hall for a couple games, and Isaiah Davis almost looked like the better player, but Braylon Allen is definitely worth holding. He's shown to be a decent running back. I mean, my comp for him was A.J. Dillon. I don't think that's actually that far off. People hated it, but I think he's worth keeping. Audric Estime, another guy we weren't very high on in this class. Had some opportunities, showed some flashes, but I just don't think he's the guy for Denver moving forward. But regardless, he is worth holding at this point. Tyrone Tracy, obviously, you're going to hold Tyrone. He's a top 20 ranking running back for people. Marshawn Lloyd never had a chance to really do anything. Just injuries continually derailed his season, but I still want to hold him because this team spent high draft capital on him. All right, the next players are on the edge, meaning if you're in a smaller league, you probably can drop them, right? If you're in an 8-team league, a 10-team league, maybe that leads you to drop some of these names, but in your larger formats, you probably keep them. Names like Will Shipley, Isaiah Davis, Kamani Vidal. These are the type of guys that maybe you hold in a larger league, but if you need to clear space for your rookie draft or another guy on the waiver wire that you're interested in, you can cut them in smaller formats. All right, and these are guys that are absolute cuts. Dylan Lobb, he had 1 carry as a rookie in a running back room that is about the worst running back room in the NFL. He couldn't establish himself, and he fumbled the ball with his only carry. Time to move on. All right, Sion Vaki, I think it's a pipe dream for the Detroit Lions. I don't think it's going to happen. Rasheen Ali, with Keaton Mitchell getting healthy, with Justice Hill getting a long-term extension, I don't see much value there. Keelan Robinson never had a chance this season. Jace McClellan, same thing. Jawar Jordan is too small to even make an impact, and Frank Gore Jr., outside of his name, there's not much to talk about. Now, what I want to do is quickly go position by position and talk about veterans that I think you can keep or cut. So let's do that for the running back position. All one graphic keeps Kendre Miller, Jordan Mason, Nick Chubb, Jerome Ford. I think these are guys who could definitely improve their value this year. Nick Chubb, I kind of a little bit risky on that, but Jordan Mason's a free agent. Jerome Ford, there's a lot of ambiguity in the Browns backfield. And Kendre Miller's a talented guy who just never gets any opportunities. But with Dennis Allen gone, what does that mean for him? You can see Rashawn Johnson, Kareem Hunt, Sean Tucker all on the edge for me. Again, in Deeper formats, you can keep them. In smaller formats, you can easily cut them. And then guys that you can definitely cut, names like Akers, McCormick, Gibson, Madison, White, Steele, Chandler, Gray, Vaughn, you're gone. You're absolutely useless to us. If you need a game plan for your 2025 offseason, then consider becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. You will get a team playbook, a complete customized game plan for your offseason in Dynasty this year. Specific trade targets, what to do with your draft picks, understanding your league format, and how that determines your next move. You can get that, again, by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. You also get our 2025 Rookie Report. You also get all the premium tools on the website. And if you don't want to become a member, but you still want the team playbook, check out the pinned comment. Let's get back to the video. All right, moving on to the wide receivers. Let's start with the rookies in 2024. Names that you should absolutely keep: Ricky Pearsall, first-round talent. There's no reason to cut him, even in smaller formats. I mean, there's a lot of questions around this wide receiver room this offseason. Let's see what San Francisco does, but he's an absolute must-keep. Xavier Legette, I mean, kind of what I thought his rookie season would look like. But, I mean, he was dealing with some injuries. Let's cut him some slack. Adonai Mitchell, we were very low on Adonai Mitchell, not the player, but the situation. And even here now, I'm telling you to hold him, but I'm trying to play out the scenario in my head where he drastically improves in year 2 with all the weapons around him. Jalen McMillan, one of my favorite players in the class last year, had an incredible second half of the season. We're definitely going to keep him. Troy Franklin, I'm going to keep just because he now has an entire offseason with Bo Nix. Really get on the same page. Malik Washington is a great sleeper out of Miami. Jordan Whittington, if they move on from Puka Nacua and don't draft a wide receiver, he should have a significant role. Devon Bailey showed great strides as a rookie. Jalen Coker is one of the best stashes in Dynasty right now on a yards per route run versus man coverage. He was one of the best receivers in this class. Jalen Polk. Now look, I'm going to tell you to keep Jalen Polk simply because he was a second-round pick, and maybe there's a chance this offseason he can turn things around. But honestly, there's a lot of players I'd probably drop Jalen Polk for. It's just that draft capital makes me kind of be a little hesitant at this point of his career. Here are some players that are on the edge. Again, in smaller leagues, you can cut them. In deeper leagues, maybe you hold on to them. Malachi Corley, who in his one big opportunity, he dropped the ball before getting into the end zone. A lot of turnover in New York. I don't know what this means for Malachi Corley. Roman Wilson. Someone tell me why Roman Wilson never had a shot to break out this year. I mean, I know the quarterback play was up and down. I know he was dealing with some injuries, but man, there was no clear number 2 wide receiver on that team, and Roman Wilson didn't make an impact. Am I missing something? Luke McCaffrey. Look, if Luke McCaffrey was going to break out for the Commanders, I feel like we would have saw that. Because same thing. Noah Brown was their wide receiver 2 for a while. He didn't break out. Then De'Ami Brown did something in the playoffs, but Luke McCaffrey didn't even have like an imprint on this team. Javon Baker never really had an opportunity. Jacob Coing, that room is so crowded. Same with Taj Washington. And Jermaine Burton. Man, I loved me some Jermaine Burton, but my goodness, Jermaine Burton's fall from grace needs to be studied. I mean, we heard reports this season like he showed up late for a meeting when they planned on starting him because T. Higgins was out with an injury. I mean, where is the drive from this guy? Then we're seeing that he hasn't paid rent in his apartment pretty much since he moved in. He's getting evicted. I mean, it's like an off-field nightmare from Jermaine Burton right now. And then here are players from this class that you can absolutely cut. Names like Ryan Flournoy and Tez Walker and Anthony Gold, Jamari Thrash, Bub Memes, Jaquan Jackson, Johnny Wilson. Shout out to the guy last year who told me Johnny Wilson was the next Mike Evans. I mean, we did not like Johnny Wilson, but the comment section told me he was the next Mike Evans. Well, okay. Well, we'll see, I guess. Casey Washington, Brendan Rice, and Cornelius Johnson. You can cut all these guys. Move on. Sleep like a baby. All right. Again, let's look at veteran wide receivers. Here are a list of names that you should definitely be keeping regardless of the size of your league. Names like Christian Kirk. You know, he could be on a different team. Parker Washington. With the signing of Liam Cohen, could Parker Washington, if they don't sign a slot wide receiver, be the next Chris Godwin for Liam Cohen? I don't know, but I like Parker Washington. Dontavion Wicks, you probably could cut him, but the fact that Christian Watson tore his ACL means maybe Dontavion Wicks has another year to grow. Just catch the ball, man. Jalen Tolbert, definitely a keep. He showed great flashes with Dak Prescott as a number 2 for this team. Pop Douglas, Keishon Boutte, Cedric Tillman, Rashad Bateman. These guys have shown enough to warrant a roster spot. Now, here are some guys that are on the edge for me. Andre Yeshivas. The reality is, I feel like if they do move on from T. Higgins, they will definitely add another name. I just don't think they rock into the season in 2025 with Andre Yeshivas as their number 2. Tutu Atwell, who, by the way, has always been productive when he's given opportunities. But if Cooper Kupp moves on, you know, what does that mean for Tutu Atwell? Xavier Hutchinson, who showed up towards the back end of the season this season, and Tyler Lockett. I mean, honestly, in most leagues, I'm probably comfortable cutting Tyler Lockett. Let's be honest, guys. Nobody's going to give you a second, a third, even a fourth round pick for Tyler Lockett at this point. I don't see that happening. All right, here are players that you can absolutely cut that are veterans. Names like Jalen Naylor, Jahan Dotson, who, wow, what a fall off in his career. Jalen Hyatt, Jonathan Mingo, my beloved Treylon Burks, you're gone. Brandon Cooks, Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, MVS, Tyler Boyd. All these guys are just not worth rostering at this point. All right, let's get into the quarterback position. And this is specifically for Superflex leagues. That's the way I have presented the information. So rookie quarterbacks this year that I think are worth rostering for sure. Names like Joe Milton and Jordan Travis. As far as Joe Milton goes, he had one start. Yes, it was versus Buffalo in week 18, and they probably didn't have their entire team, but he was very, very promising in week 18. Showed he has an absolute cannon. He's an athletic guy. You can use him on the goal line as a rushing threat. I mean, there's a chance a team trades for Joe Milton to see what he really can be. All right, Jordan Travis as well. I mean, in this world, maybe Aaron Rodgers moves on, and Jordan Travis, who this entire season was recovering from an injury, has a chance to be the next Sam Howell, where he plays decent, but you know he's not the future, and maybe you can get a second-round pick for him, okay? Now, Spencer Rattler is on the edge. I'd say in most leagues, I'm comfortable to drop him. I think we have seen enough to say, yeah, you're never going to be an impact quarterback for fantasy football. Two names that I'm definitely dropping, Devin Leary, Michael Pratt. I mean, Michael Pratt was drafted by the Packers, but he wasn't even their backup. I mean, their backup was Malik Willis. And speaking of veteran quarterbacks, here are a list of names that I would definitely keep. Names like Kirk Cousins. Maybe he gets traded somewhere, becomes a starter. Names like Aiden O'Connell. He could be the starter for the Raiders again this season. Malik Willis, who, if Malik Willis was traded, he's better than a lot of quarterbacks who are starting today. Jameis Winston, you know, another name who could be a backup somewhere. And if he starts, he could be a great quarterback too for contending rosters. Deshaun Watson. I'm just not sure Deshaun Watson plays again in the NFL. That's why he's on the edge for me. Again, in deeper formats, you keep him, but in your 8-team, 10-team leagues, I'm not sure he ever makes an impact. I don't think you can trade him for anything. Even, he's not a good person, but he might be an even worse quarterback. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to get signed somewhere. Does he re-sign in Minnesota? Do they move on from Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones becomes a backup? That definitely would make me want to hold him. And then I definitely think you can cut with Drew Lock. He's just not the future of any NFL team. Let's be honest with ourselves. And finishing off the video with tight ends. In the 2024 class, names that I'm definitely keeping. Ben Sinnott. You know, we only have to go back a couple years to remember the last time that Zach Ertz cock blocked a rookie breakout, right? He did the same thing for Trey McBride. Maybe they re-signed Zach Ertz. He was very good with Jaden Daniels. But if not, Ben Sinnott is going to be, a potential breakout if Zach Ertz is gone. Jatavion Sanders, who dealt with some injuries, but, showed some really nice flashes as a rookie for the Carolina Panthers. Theo Johnson, who had some up and down games, but let's be honest, the quarterback play was so bad, it's impossible to really evaluate a name like Theo Johnson, who was a freak athlete coming out of this class. Jared Wiley, who I really like out of Kansas City. The day that Travis Kelce retires, we're all going to want to stockpile these tight ends and see what happens with Noah Gray and Jared Wiley. Here are some names that are on the edge. AJ Barner. I mean, when Noah Fant went out with that injury, AJ Barner showed to be a decent, reliable backup, kind of like Brenton Strange, kind of same type of vibe. So I think he's worth holding in deeper formats. Kate Stover never really had an opportunity with the injuries, but it's tough to see a real bright outcome for his career with Dalton Schultz there right now. And here are names that you can absolutely cut. Eric All. Let me just say, I did not originally have Eric All on the cut list. I had him on the keep list, but recently we found out that he's going to miss the entire 2025 season with an injury. And he was already an older prospect. He didn't have incredible draft capital. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like game-changing draft capital. You're going to wait an entire year for a guy who probably won't become anything anyway? I don't know. I think I'm willing to cut him. Tip Ryman, who was never going to make an impact on the offense as a receiving threat, even though he's a second-round pick. Tanner McLaughlin and Jaheim Bell can all be cut. And here are some other veteran tight ends that you can cut. You can cut ties. Dawson Knox, Tyler Conklin, Daniel Bellinger, Greg Dulcich, Brevin Jordan, Darnell Washington, and Jelani Woods. These guys, free your mind. You can come back and blame me if they turn out to be superstars, but I don't think they're ever going to be real impact fantasy names, so you can cut them off your roster. All right, I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Hopefully it was helpful, very direct. This is, you know, kind of my game plan for managing my roster this offseason. So I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you like the content, and I'll see you in the next video. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.